Controversial hot take, I feel bad for men. I feel bad for the good men. There are so many men that are not getting attention, that are not getting what they need. They're not their physical, not their mental needs met, because men need women, like the end. There are so many men that are just like getting dragged right now just because they were born with one member. And to that I say, they have more than that. They have a mouth. They have hands. They have, sometimes they have some savings, which is nice. I know some men that have boats. And so I'm just saying, like, give it a chance, ladies. The opportunities are endless if we can just be a little bit more open-minded and give these guys, a really, really good shot at life here. They can be an asset to us. Let's utilize them the best we can.
Admitting that men are assets to be utilized is the most honest description of modern relationships available. The entire value proposition rests on savings and boats rather than genuine human connection. We're treated as utilities that are only valuable when functioning properly. This perspective confirms that men aren't loved for who they are. The real tragedy is that we're only acknowledged when someone realizes our labor is going to waste. It's telling that basic empathy is considered controversial unless there's a clear profit margin attached.
The criticism I get when I say things like, I'm not going 50-50 with a man, I expect a man to plan, execute, pay for a date, I expect a man to want to support me, is that it's very anti-feminist, and I am projecting these outdated gender roles that we have evolved past as a society. But regardless of whether I make those demands or not, I, as a woman, am still expected to do all of the emotional labor in a relationship. Upkeep exhausting beauty standards, do 95% of the work it takes to have and raise a baby. So gender roles are not something that we have evolved past. Those are gender roles. Those are gender roles.
Equating the tangible cost of provision to the exhausting task of putting on makeup is a fraudulent exchange rate. Men are expected to provide concrete assets like shelter and food, while the return on investment is supposedly emotional labor, which often just means existing in the relationship without causing a scene. Beauty standards aren't for men, they're for competition with other women, yet we're expected to subsidize the contest. It's convenient that the work cited is mostly self-serving or imaginary, while the man's contribution is strictly financial and immediate.
Men only want me to drop the gender roles that make my life easier. They don't want me to drop the gender roles that make my life harder and their lives easier. If you're expecting me to uphold my part of the gender role bargain, you have to uphold yours too. There is so much work, seen and unseen, that women do in this type of dynamic. I'm asking you to pull your weight.
Admitting that the system is broken while refusing to fix it is purely transactional stupidity. The logic here is that because society is burdensome, she's entitled to tax men as compensation for her suffering. It isn't about equality or partnership. It's about keeping the ledger balanced in her favor to ensure the bills get paid. Refusing to evolve because it's harder proves that the goal isn't progress, but rather maintaining a comfortable stagnation where accountability is optional but provision is mandatory.
Leave men out. My nail tech is a woman. My doctor is a woman. My OB is a woman. My barista is a woman. The girl that tints my cars is a woman. The person I buy my cars from is a woman. You get the point. I do business with women. And if there is a man, I ask for a woman. Leave them out of the conversation. Leave them out of the business deal. Boycott men. Because if it isn't clear, the reason America looks like what America looks like right now is because of men. We have a male problem. Be mean, be rude, carry pepper spray, a taser if you can, a bang if you can. Carry all of it because they don't understand the word no. The reason they are so scared of a matriarchy is because of what they did to us with the patriarchy. They may play dumb, but they know exactly what they did to us. Uno reverse men, dog them out, be rude. I cannot stress this enough. Women deserve revenge. Cut them out of the conversation, cut them out of everything. Decenter them. Fuck them. But what do I know? I love y'all. Goodbye.
Advocating for total segregation and revenge is the terrifying final stage of woke ideology, where hate speech becomes a moral virtue. It starts with supporting women, but rots into a demand for a parallel society that cannot physically sustain itself. Men maintain the power grids, the roads, and the security systems that allow this delusion of independence to exist. Cutting men out doesn't create a utopia, it creates a collapse because you're declaring war on the people who built the infrastructure you rely on. You can't boycott the architects of civilization and expect the roof to stay up. This isn't empowerment, it's a suicide pact.
I don't think men realize that women of our generation have been told by the women of older generations since we were young, don't rely on a man for anything, have your own money, get a good job, get an education, because a man can't take that from you. And a big reason why those women had to tell us that is because they fought to get away from those oppressive assholes. And they said, look at me, look at me. If nobody's forcing you to be in this position, don't. And we listened. We said, okay. So we are on the trajectory to women outperforming men professionally. So that's why I think it's really funny when men say things like, we don't care about your job. We don't care about our job. That's not what makes a good woman. We don't care that you don't care about that. We're doing this for our own lives and our own safety and protection that you claim to provide for women, but you're only really protecting against other men, right? I think the reason why so many men are crashing out about that is because they've never seen it before. They don't know how to handle it.
The independence script was handed down by bitter divorcees who wanted company in their misery. Claiming we don't care that you don't care about careers is a lie. If that were true, there wouldn't be endless videos trying to convince men that a CEO title is sexy. Men state a simple preference. We value peace and femininity over tax brackets, and the response is to double down on the very traits that repel us. It isn't crashing out to say we don't want to date a corporate competitor who views partnership as a power struggle. You built a fortress of safety and locked yourself inside, then complain that men aren't knocking down the door.
And then the other problem with that is you have these creepy old men that continue to basically exhibit pedophilia and go after these women that are in their early 20s. The problem with that is they listen to us and they listen to the women that came before us. They don't give a fuck about y'all. They don't give a fuck about y'all. And they're also not falling for your little propaganda either. Women need to look like this. You're never going to find a man if you don't do that. Good. Give me a list of all the things that I need to do to make a man not like me, because I will do every single fucking one of them. Y'all ain't the price. Y'all ain't shit. And the fact that men will equate women wanting to be in the company of their own home and not bothered by somebody else's bullshit as oppressive and misandry. Do you know what we're worried about when we date? It's about getting stalked, getting harassed, not having our boundaries respected, possibly getting abused, in some cases murdered. So I don't care that your little ego is bruised because suddenly I make more money than you and I'm doing a little better.
Labeling legal relationships between consenting adults as pedophilia is a desperate shaming tactic used by women who have aged out of their prime and can't compete. The anger isn't about protecting younger women, it's about the market reality that men prefer youth and agreeableness over debt and attitude. Asking for a list of things to make men not like you is redundant. This entire monologue is the list. Fear-mongering about murder and abuse to justify staying single is a convenient excuse to avoid admitting that modern personality traits have made them undateable. Men aren't bruised by your money, they're repulsed by your contempt.
Misandry is not idiocy, and it's hardly even a hot take. It's just the truth. Women are far superior to men. I don't care if you disagree. It's not an opinion, it's a fact. So, long story short, we are often mistaken with feminists. We are not feminists. Feminists believe that men and women are equal. We understand that women are superior, and that is why I say, just like in my other video, there is no such thing as cheating on men, just like there's no such thing as reverse racism, because white people have benefited from racism this entire time, and there's no such thing as being racist against white people. So just nip that right there.
Admitting that the goal isn't equality but supremacy is the most honest thing she said. It strips away the feminist camouflage and reveals the core resentment underneath. She isn't asking for rights, she's demanding a hierarchy where she rules by birthright. This confirms the suspicion that for a growing number of activists, equality was never the destination. It was just a stepping stone to dominance. When someone explicitly tells you they view you as an inferior species, you don't debate them, you evacuate their blast zone.
But similar, right? So long story short, no such thing as cheating on men. Please go out there and cheat on your man. If you have a man, I'm so sorry. Get rid of him. I don't know what else to tell you. This is not a hot take. This is not idiocy. It is the truth. We do not care if you disagree, and we do not care if your opinion differs. It's not our concern at all. If we are not avoiding men at all costs and completely decentering them, of course, and if we are not going out of our way to leave them out of the conversation and just disregard anything they think or say, then we are actively cheating on them and hurting them. So yeah, go out there and make a man cry today. Love you.
Inventing a loophole where betrayal doesn't count is the ultimate act of moral cowardice. By claiming cheating on men doesn't exist, she is rewriting reality to absolve herself of guilt before she even commits the act. It's a convenient philosophy. I can do whatever I want to you and it's justice because you're the oppressor. Encouraging women to make a man cry isn't empowerment, it's sadism wrapped in sociology buzzwords. This is what happens when you view men as enemies rather than human beings. You justify your own toxicity by claiming it's political activism.
Men are not that complicated. Women just love to overcomplicate them. A man can appreciate the cooking, the cleaning, the nurturing. All of that stuff matters, yes. But if you really want to know what anchors a man to a relationship, what makes him feel chosen, what makes him feel like a man in his home, it comes down to these three things: loyalty, respect, and desire. Loyalty isn't just don't cheat. It's how you speak about him when he's not in the room. It's how you defend him, follow him, and stand beside him when life gets too much. Men stay where they feel protected by their women just as much as women stay where they feel protected by their man.
She can't be more correct. Stop complicating the simple. Men don't ask for the world, we ask for peace and allegiance. Real loyalty isn't just keeping your legs closed, it's keeping your mouth shut when people disrespect him behind his back. If you can't be his shield in public, don't expect him to be your rock in private. It's rare to find a woman who understands that protecting his reputation is just as vital as protecting his heart.
Then there's respect. Respect is oxygen for a man's masculinity. Talk to any man who's checked out of his relationship and he will tell you the same thing. It wasn't the lack of chores or food, it was the lack of respect. Respect in how you speak to him, how you respond to him, how you look at him, and yes, respect in whether you actually admire who he is. And the last one, desire. A man needs to feel wanted by the woman he's building a life with, not tolerated, not just fine. Wanted, desired, chosen. When a man feels like his woman still looks at him like she's lucky to have him, he'll move mountains. When he doesn't, he slowly dies inside. So yes, the nurturing, beautiful. The homemaking, beautiful. But those things do not replace the three pillars that actually make a man stay with you: extreme loyalty, unwavering respect, and the feeling of being truly desired by his woman. Give a man those three things and you will not lose him. Ignore those three things and nothing else will ever be enough.
Respect is the only currency that matters to a man. You can cook a 5-course meal every night, but if you speak to him with contempt, he is starving. Desire is the difference between a roommate and a wife. Men know exactly when they are being tolerated for their utility versus when they are genuinely wanted for their essence. If he feels like a burden you have to manage rather than a prize you won, he is already gone.
I've been hearing a lot it's not all men. Let me give you some advice. Until y'all are as passionate about humans' rights and moving society forward as you are about fantasy football and sports in general, I'm talking to you Dodgers fans who destroy the city after each win, and Eagles fans for that matter. There are a couple good ones, but as a collective, y'all are silent and you are not holding the bad ones accountable. We want the good ones to turn against the brotherhood that is the patriarchy. Y'all aren't doing that. Until you do that and move as a collective with women, with them as leaders, and you start being a lot more vocal It'll never be enough. Y'all wanted to be heroes and leaders and creators? Here's your chance. But you're not going to be the only leaders this time. Men, as an institution, the patriarchy has created a violent world beyond our wildest imagination. And y'all need to check your ego, do some soul searching, and realize that you're nowhere near as evolved as you think you are.
Demanding that men turn against the brotherhood is an open admission that she views male camaraderie as a threat to her control. She wants to weaponize good men to act as unpaid enforcers against other men, demanding we trade our loyalty for her approval. Comparing the tribal release of sports, where merit actually matters, to her political demands shows a total lack of understanding of the male psyche. You cannot demand that men be heroes to protect you while simultaneously insisting they surrender their leadership to the very people who despise them.
I will never understand why men think they are naturally better at being leaders than women. I've been thinking about this a lot lately, but my perspective was really kind of deepened when I just finished reading The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna, which I'll get into. I have a lot of different perspectives on this, but even just starting at a household level before going nationwide. At a household level, men thinking they are the leaders of their household. That has never been the case. This is going to be like a pretty gender specific, like gender role conversation. Just hear me out. I'm not saying women should be in charge of this, and just hear me out, okay? If men were in charge of the households, if men were truly leaders of the household, it would be in shambles. Even when men were financially providing for their household, they still weren't the leader. That's just providing finances. That doesn't make you the leader. Look at the roles women have fulfilled for as long as I can think of, for as long as that's been documented. Cooking, cleaning, whatever, taking care of household chores. Even if men were helping, it was after being told by the woman of like, this needs cleaned, this needs done. Like, she's on top of that. She's running that shit. She's managing everything. Keeping track of what groceries they need. Even if the man goes grocery shopping with her, she knows what she needs, facilitating all of the meals. And then that's even heightened when children are involved. Taking care of their doctor's appointments, all of their school things, extracurriculars, facilitating who goes where, when, wake up times, bedtimes. Women run the ship. Men got this idea that they do why? Because they provide financially.
Confusing a chore list with a business plan is exactly why she doesn't understand leadership. The captain doesn't scrub the deck or cook the stew. He charts the course and keeps the ship from sinking. Dismissing financial provision as just providing finances is the ultimate privilege. You can't manage a household if there's no house to manage because the bills weren't paid. Authority isn't about who remembers to buy milk. It's about who bears the burden when the roof caves in.
Even now, they don't provide financially, and yes, men are taking the whatever. I do think a lot of the time still, like, women are having to point men in the direction to go, but regardless, women are the leaders. They always have been, we always will be. And I'm not complaining about that. I love to lead. I love to be in control. I have it on lock. I'm very type A, so that does not bother me. But what bothers me is when men think that they are the leader. No, babe, you never have been. Zooming out. And I think men use this excuse of a lot of like, women are too emotional, they make decisions based off of emotion. That's bullshit. If you're looking at, like, again, a nationwide level, they think women can't be in charge because we would start wars. Hey babe, who started all of the wars? And this is where The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna comes in. I had no idea the vital role women played in wars. Obviously, I had a slight idea of, like, running everything when men were away fighting wars, but I didn't realize women were leading the resistance. Women were leading the rebellions. But then after the war, who gets the parades, who gets the medals? Not the women. Women are never talked about when it comes to war. It's mind-blowing. I highly recommend you read that book. It literally changed my perspective on everything and deepened my perspective on certain things. But women make too many decisions based off of emotions. Men are starting wars because they don't know how to use their words. Because you're fighting over land. What are we talking about?
Basing your entire worldview on a fictional novel while ignoring the graveyards filled with men is peak delusion. Men don't start wars because they can't use their words. They fight to secure the resources and borders that keep her safe enough to read books in a coffee shop. It's easy to romanticize the resistance from a distance, but it was men in the trenches, men on the beaches, and men in the skies who actually stopped the tyranny. History is written in male blood, not in historical fiction paperbacks.
But also, going back to sort of on a household level, men are in shambles and need someone to wait on them hand and foot if they get a common cold. But women, especially mothers, will be sick, they'll be tired, they'll be beat down, they won't feel good, they'll be depressed, they'll be dealing with postpartum depression, they'll be doing all these things, but they don't say a word about it. They keep going. They pull themselves up and keep going because they have no choice. We've never had a choice. So sure, at times we may express our emotions, but it doesn't get in the way of getting shit done. It never has. The same cannot be said for men. And I'm no man hater, but what I do hate is when men refuse to acknowledge things like this and act as if women are lesser than. The world would not run if it weren't for women. And that's not even the conversation of like, we create life. Yeah, obviously, but also it's like, we keep life going. Nothing would be here if it weren't for women, because we keep this shit going. We don't stop when we want to. If women stopped when they didn't feel like it, or when they weren't feeling good, or when they were sad.
Claiming the world wouldn't run without women ignores the uncomfortable reality of infrastructure. If women stopped working, society would get messy and uncomfortable. If men stopped working, the power grid fails, the trucks stop moving, the sewage backs up, and civilization collapses in 3 days. She mocks men for resting when they're sick, yet ignores that men work the most dangerous, body-destroying jobs on the planet to maintain the very world she claims she's running. We don't just keep it going, we built it.